Well, I'm sorry not to be able to be personally present at this wonderful moment of this function in Argentina. Unfortunately, I'm not able to come to Argentina at this time, which is my loss. But it's at least wonderful for me to be able to join the people involved in this function through this medium, electronic medium. It's a distant medium. On the other hand, it's better than nothing. And so I'm really very honored to be here. And of course, I'd like to begin by thanking President Cristina Fernández de Kirchner, President of Argentina, for her wonderful initiative in this and her support for this truly visionary program, a vision that Bernard Klicksberg, the originator of this entire approach and program, has been pursuing for some time. And it's great that President Cristina is supporting the efforts of my friend Bernardo in pursuing these very important objectives. The occasion, of course, is the beginning of this program of teaching or training 1,000 outstanding young people of the UNASUR on this instructional program on economy with the human face. It's a gigantic project involving so many people with such talents in one program, with itself a major breakthrough. I would like to extend my congratulations to the young people, thousands of them, who have been selected for this from the 12 countries of UNASUR. And I wish I could be there and personally shake their hands and congratulate them, but I have to satisfy myself by sending my congratulations over the air to Argentina, and I very much look forward to an opportunity at some stage of actually personally meeting the people who would be participating in, or who have been selected for, and who would be benefiting from the program, and who will continue the tradition, I hope, that Bernardo Klicksberg has been so powerfully and so consistently been advising. I think the Andean Finance Corporation has been very supportive of this program, and I thank the corporation and its president, and of course the president of the 12 countries that make up the UNASUR, who are also helping and collaborating in this great Argentinian initiative with President Cristina at the forefront of this particular attempt to change the world in an appropriate direction, a very difficult world in which we live. Now, economy with the human face sounds like a very simple title, but it's not such a simple concept. At one level, it's very simple. Economy is about human beings, and there's no way that an economy could be run, could be assessed, could be pursued for the present and the future without active cooperation and without active leadership from human beings. So human face has to be part of the economy in an inescapable way. The tragedy, however, is that the economic faces, economies often tend to overlook the humanity of the faces involved. And unfortunately, this is often seen in the world of practical economics, practical business, and one result of it is that the ends that justify the success of the economy may well be forgotten in the pursuit of what are merely the means of making money, creating income, generating prosperity and employment. These are important too. On the other hand, the ultimate purpose is to make a difference to the human lives. So I think if we're looking at the ethics involved, and Bernardo Klicksberg has always been very concerned about the interaction between ethics and economics, I think we can divide up the problem of ethics involved in the economy of human face, economy with a human face, into certain categories. There's first of all, of course, the ethics of the impact of the economic progress, how it's changing. Now, in his Wealth of Nations, the father of modern economics, Adam Smith, made clear that the reason why we want an economy to be good, to be successful, is because it can do two things. One, it can create income and therefore give people the means to have a better quality of life, better living standard, satisfying their needs, and they are enabled to do it for themselves. That was the first purpose. And the second person, Adam Smith mentioned, the second purpose, is to generate enough revenue for the government so that the government can do its duties of pursuing public services. In the debates that are going on in some countries, including in the United States, that extremely important purpose of the market economy, namely that it can help to sustain public services, is often being forgotten, since the tendency is to cut government services as much as possible in many of the debates taking place in the United States and alas also in Europe, and sometimes even more vigorously in Europe. And I think that's a mistake, and I think Smith would have seen, as the father of modern economics, this to be a mistake, and would have been rather terrified that his name is often invoked as the guru of market economics without looking at what he said, which is that a market economy has to be flourishing partly because we need the income, we need the prosperity that the market economy generates, and also because, and this is equally important, it generates the public revenue with which the government can do those essential public services on which the lives and freedoms and well-being of human beings depend. So I think we have to bear in mind the ethics of the impact of the economy, and if we are overlooking the impact of some people being left out because they have no income or they have no job, they have no medical security, they have no education, then there is a failure of the economy, and the economy doesn't have the human face because, as Smith outlined, the economy has to be aimed at doing things for people directly through their income and indirectly through the public services which the government and government alone can provide. So that we have to keep at the forefront of our understanding of economy with the human face. But in the operation of the economy, our personal behavior comes in, and that's the second aspect of the ethics involved here, and that is the ethics of personal behavior, our personal morality. It includes such simple things as devotion to work and duty, not being delinquent, not passing on the work to others, but doing your duties in a way that operates positively for each other's benefit. But it also includes lack of corruption, basic honesty, and basic trustworthiness, so that if somebody promises something, you could rely that that would happen, rather than these being just some speculative activity which may come to a disaster, and then those who took your money or who got your effort and support could tell you, "Oh, I'm sorry, we tried, but it's not going to. I cannot keep our promises because the result wouldn't be like that anyway." So if that happens, I think there is a failure of personal morality. So that is a matter that includes corruption, it includes efficiency and devotion to duty and work, it includes trustworthiness, and it includes also being faithful to what you promise to do rather than misleading people. That is a very important thing in the personal behavior in business, in which in the present economic crisis a lot of violations, alas, have taken place. A third aspect is what I would call the public behavior of business. Now this includes, of course, public behavior, includes personal behavior, but it goes beyond that, because quite often the businesses operate in a way that they try to change the system in their direction towards making more profit and not looking into the responsibilities of business. And that includes money expended in lobbying for keeping certain policies out, like keeping, for example, the medical insurances out, which has been a lot of lobbying coming from private insurers in the United States. It sometimes is deployed in bashing the workers' organization and their legitimate union activities. It's sometimes used to deflect money from education and healthcare to other things which are of greater importance to business, but not necessarily in the same way to the people at large. So I think the whole issue of lobbying, and particularly the amount of money that is spent these days in camouflaging the facts that science is beginning to bring out, itself comes under this category of violation of public morality. For example, a lot of money has been spent in different countries, including in the United States, on the possibility or the argument that the global warming is a figment of imagination. It's not working. It's not working that way. It's not a fact. Now, that's not indeed the case. There's some doubt always about the extent of the global warming and exact causation. On the other hand, there's very little doubt that there is a significant global warming taking place in which the human efforts, human behavior is very important. And so to decontrol that and stop the emission control and the other environmental restraints that are needed in order to keep the environment pure and the lives of the future people secure, the lobbying to subvert that is a violation of public morality, because as David Hume, another great figure from the 18th century, great philosopher, also from Scotland, like Adam Smith, pointed out, that it is on the basis of good epistemology, good knowledge, good understanding of the facts, that a proper ethics can operate and function. So that's a very important part of the ethics of the economy with a human face. So if these are the first three things to look at, there are, of course, the institutional requirements too, and there is such a thing as the ethics of institutions, ethics of the economic system. Now, these are about the arrangements through which the system, the financial organizations, the non-financial institutions of business operate. And one of the ways that ethics come is through personal restraint, but another way is some role for the social ethics, which gives a role to regulations intelligently chosen and not stupidly imposed on people or on business, intelligently chosen to restrain the unreasonable search for profits against the interests of the poorer people or the working classes or the interests of the future generation through environment. So I think we have to look at how the institutions operate, and we need systems of controls and checks and balances so that the businesses also operate within certain restricted limits. Now, in order for that to happen, of course, the government has to have intelligent control, and that requires a lot of public discussion. And that is a part of the ethics of institutions, democratic system, conversations with each other, ability to express your views, your critique, without being threatened by business groups, by vested interests, and when that happens, as it does in some countries, through even the system of police and the military. Now, all these would fall under lapses of the ethics of institutions, and we have to avoid that. But there are some others which are not of that kind. There are, for example, right now, nothing seems to me to be as absurd as happening now, that on one side the businesses, often financial corporations, that make dreadful mistakes and that misled people, and they made some quick profit which they rapidly distributed among themselves often, but then when the time came to account for it, they ended up making losses, so much so that they were unviable. And since a lot of people were about to lose their job across the world, there were bailouts. But while bailouts is a way of the government supporting the businesses, and sometimes given where we were, it was needed. I wish we would not have been in that position, and if public and private morality had been pursued sufficiently well, then we wouldn't have got there. But having got there, there was no option but to bail out. But then, on top of the bailout, the same companies which are being bailing out, if they also announce and give bonuses to people, when government and the people of a country is spending a lot of money to rescue these firms, and these leaders of the firm taking bonuses to indicate how well they have done when they have not done well at all, seem to me to be a gross violation of an institutional system. I personally take the view that one of the conditions for the bailout has to be absolutely no bonuses that should go to the business leaders, and which often is the financial leaders also who operate the system, and cover up their losses by giving excuse or another, and then claim credit for viability and gain when the viability is often brought about by public support. I think there is a real lacuna of institutional ethics in that system. So I would say, I can talk about other things, and indeed in my book, Development as Freedom, I do talk about such things as the freedom of information, of transparency, freedoms that also operate through institutional system. Right to information is a very important part of a democratic privilege of individuals, of citizens, and that has an important role in keeping people informed directly, but also an indirect role in restraining people, in preventing violation of good business principle, good business practice, and indeed a good concern with the humanity of the economy, the human face of it. But I would still, in the present context, emphasize these things, the ethics of the impact of the economy, the ethics of personal behavior, the ethics of public behavior, and the ethics of the institutional system under which a business economy and an economy in general operates, and that applies production of commodities, of services, and it also includes financial services. Now, we have been going through an economic crisis of a gigantic kind, of a kind that we have not had since the 1930s, and it suddenly erupted in the fall of 2008. And it was leading to a complete freefall until, again, a determined action by a number of governments, in this case G20, who gathered in April of 2009 in London. This was an initiative taken by the British government under the Prime Ministership of Gordon Brown. It made a big difference in preventing the free fall. But then preventing the free fall is one thing, but getting the economy started is a different thing. What we have now is a situation which actually, oddly enough, Adam Smith discussed in the 18th century, that people may have so little trust in each other that it's very difficult for them to lend money to each other. You have to know people to be trustworthy in order to have a normal system of transactions, buying and selling based often on trust about each other's words, and lending and borrowing based again on trust on each other. So we have to get the economy moving. It's moving very slowly. Unemployment rates are very high in most countries in the world, or many countries in the world, and these have to be encountered by intelligent economic policy, not just cut is the way that Europe seems to be proceeding, creating problems, even as it pretends to solve it. What's been happening, for example, in Greece, for example, is that an enormous hardship was imposed. Some of it was necessary because Greece had violated good rules for such a long time. But then one has to apply this intelligently and choose the timing. Good economics is not only about what to do, but also about when to do it. And one result of that has been that the Greek rescue seems unmanageable at this time. I'm speaking at this moment in the second week of November in 2011. At this moment, it looks as if there's no solution because some bailout is arranged, but then the condition for it is to cut everything as much as possible, makes the lives of people very hard. But on top of that, it reduces economic growth, which is, after all, the goose that lays the golden egg. So one result is that the Greek growth rate may go down from plus 2% to minus 2%, minus 5%, minus 7% now. And naturally, it's very difficult to pay back any loan. So we have to be economically intelligent. There's no violation of ethics in being intelligent, because intelligent economic planning is also part of what philosophers used to call practical reason. Practical reason is partly intelligence, partly humanity, partly morality and having good objects in view, but it's also reasoning. It's very important to have those reasoning. But on top of that, as we carry out good economic policies which are not counterproductive, which doesn't, as they say in an old Indian saying, that you don't cut the branch on which you are sitting. And I think that quite a lot of the cutting of the branch on which you're sitting has actually occurred, particularly in Europe and to some extent even in parts of America and including the United States. So one has to be intelligent, but at the same time one has to pursue the ethics of personal morality, ethics of public behavior, ethics of the institutional systems, and also constantly look at what the impact of the policies are, the practices are, the behaviors are on the lives of people. Ultimately, ethics is about the lives of people. So the economy with a human face is about the relationship between economic decisions, economic behavior, economic practice, and the results that affects the lives of all human beings. Now, these are matters that will be no doubt discussed a lot in the training program, and also I think many of the people who are getting this training will go on to teach these things to other people, influencing other economists, other political thinkers, including politicians, business people, and then a whole lot of citizens who are interested in these questions as workers, as entrepreneurs, as traders, as simply human beings who are surviving on the economy. And there's always the economy of the household. There's the issue about gender relations, how women are treated compared with men, how children are treated compared with adults. All these issues become a part of the practice of economy with the human face. So these will be matters of learning as well as of teaching. And it seems to me to be a wonderful moment today when you will be seeing, I hope, this video, which is a part of the initiative of President Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner under the intellectual leadership of Bernardo Klicksberg, with the support of the Indian Fund Financing Corporation, as well as the president of the 12 countries. It's a really big collaborative effort in which 1,000 really brilliant people, to whom I extend my congratulations again, will be participating. I only wish I could be there and shake everyone's hand, but you have to assume that there I am shaking your hand right now before I say goodbye, and I hope sometime actually to catch your hand and shake it. So congratulations and very good luck and good work in the days to come. Thank you very much.